Welcome back, folks. We are here to break down your rosters live at Dynasty Price Checks. So, if you guys want to come through and get your rosters broken down, we got folks in the queue already. And I am going to go ahead and be jotting them down for you guys so that we can get ripping here. I've got Robert, Caden, Andrew, Armat, and Rice Ball so far. Guys, if you can do me a favor, whoever is going to be sticking around out of this group for a little bit, if you guys can help me keep track of the queue a little bit, I would be greatly appreciative. I have you 5 written down right now, but as we add some more, we'll try to get an order nice and even here so that I get through everybody. But we've got folks coming through. And I see Swaggy hopping in as well. What's up, my guy? And we've got Snooch in here as well. The folks are coming through. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and just get right on started right away. And the first one I saw when I was in here was Robert. So Robert, Andrew, you're totally fine to chill, man. No pressure or anything. So Robert, I saw you were first. If you want to go ahead and request to come up on stage, just click that hand in the top corner, and I'll approve you, and we can dive right in here, man. Hell yeah! All right, Caden, perfect, man. Then you can help me manage the queue as well. You and Andrew, all right. What is good, Robert? How are we? And what is our sleeper username, man?
All right, here I'll type it in the chat.
Hell yeah. And folks that are watching over on YouTube right now, thanks for coming along. If you're looking to get a Dynasty roster broken down, you know how to do it. You join up on the Discord, totally free to join. You can click the link in the description right here, and we'll have it nice and going for you. But I see Robert's username right there. We're gonna go ahead and type it in, and Robert, I'll start the stream over here in Discord as well so you guys can see what I'm doing and follow along. So there we go, sharing the screen there as well. Can't speak during this, but happy to hear your thoughts. For sure, man. Of course, no worries, no pressure to speak. Rice Ball, we got you. All right, Robert, looks like CLC is our move. Am I right?
Yes, indeed.
Hell yeah. All right, looks like I've got, where are we at here? Lil Mahomie. We got an 8-team league. Okay, so 8 teams, start 11, 1 point PPR, no tight end premium, it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, and no super flex.
No super flex. Okay. All right. We got Joe Burrow, Ashton Genty, Trivion Henderson, Chris Olave, Tedero McMillan, Wandale Robinson, Roma Dunze, Nico Collins, Colston Loveland. Got loaded quarterbacks on the bench, but it's a 1 QB. We got the 103 here. And so is this your 103? True
I think
103?
the picks are off. No, I have the 101.
Oh, you have the 101?
I think that,
Oh.
yeah, I don't know why the picks are off like that. I have the 101, the 201. I don't really remember the thirds, but
no worries.
Yeah.
To be frank, sometimes Sleeper has issues syncing, and I've been
they haven't
in
been
that Sleeper app too weirdly lately, so I don't even know why. I was doing I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was doing like a season in review the other day of my one of my league rosters. I was showing startup trades, and it had shown that I had made a trade, and it was like 207, for the 407, whatever, and I was like, that is not correct at all. What is Sleeper on right now? So it's all good. They're probably just resting during the off season. But looks like you got some solid pieces here. I mean, obviously you're going to add Jeremiah Love to this room with Ashton Genty, which makes me feel thrilled. Frankly, man, I think the only place I'm at here is just that, one, you've probably heard me say it before, but I feel like a hater, but I'm going to double down on it. I think Travion Henderson's a bit overvalued right now, so I'd probably look to potentially switch that into some other productive pieces. Like if I could get Cam Scadaboo plus, Brees Hall plus, Kyron Williams plus. There's been like a weird Kyron hate lately in the market, and I don't understand it. He's given you 3 top 10 finishes in a row. I think if Travion Henderson becomes that, you're like smashing and praying to God saying thank you. So I think why not just take what you want out of Travion and get extra. So I'd potentially explore that option. I mean, was this a true 101? Did you earn the 101?
I did, yeah.
Damn, we must have some pretty loaded teams. I mean, it's a 8-man league, so I
Yeah.
expect that. But at my view here, this is a good roster. I think obviously you're lacking a little bit at those like other two wide receiver spots with like Wandale and Rome, just because Rome's been obviously underperforming. But yeah, if
Mhm.
Luther Burden becomes what everybody expects Luther Burden to become, the way he's priced, then maybe you plug him in there, and that starts aging a bit better for you. I think, to be frank, man, like obviously you're kind of in the middle of a rebuild. I would be selling Joe Burrow for sure here. I know it's a 1 QB, so I don't know if someone would actually give you good return for it, but like you have Caleb Williams to roll with. I don't need three quarterbacks, and I certainly don't need to hold a premium one when I have one that can rush and get me pretty comparable numbers, even though I'm not a massive Caleb Williams guy. I mean, to the other side of that, like if there's people in your league that are willing to pay an arm and a leg for Caleb Williams, then fine, copy and paste what I just said for Joe Burrow, right? Like, let's just
Yeah.
take our profits. I don't need to hold both of them. I think additionally, outside of that, I would say that the Travis Hunter train is one that I've been getting off since the minute it happened. I was never on it, so I don't know if you can still get some liquidity or tier up with him. Can I take Travis Hunter in the second and the third, and Romeo Dobbs after he signs a new deal, or Parker Washington, and just say, hey, whoever wants to take a gamble on sorting out the Jags wide receiver room with BTJ and Jacoby and Parker and finding out how all the targets get disseminated. I mean, in this kind of format, I'm probably just fine packaging them all together and seeing, can I go get a difference maker? Can I go get someone that I like? Can I go buy low on Lad McConkey, who, might have a nice little revival with Mike McDaniels there, right? Can I go and capitalize and look around and get a Buka and try to just continue along with my rebuild process, and get some other ascending assets that I'm a bit more bought into. So I think that's probably mostly where I'm looking with a squad like this. You have an extra 27 first, which is great. So you're going to continue to add to this. You obviously have a loaded team. I mean, the only other thing I would say is if you were interested in it and you wanted to just roll with like one true good tight end and then have a little bit of like a backup, that's fine. I bet Dalton Schultz, costs you nothing in this league, and you could probably capitalize on the crazy hype behind Colston Loveland right now and flip him for like a solid running back plus. Like, I know it's not a tight end premium, but I've seen him move for like James Cook, straight up. So it's like I would maybe consider that and just roll with Tucker Kraft, since I think Kraft and Loveland will score about the same anyway. So I think you have some flexibility options, just breaking everything down for you. But to be frank, in a format like this, like, some of these guys like Trey
Yeah.
Benson, he's never going to do anything for you. Chuba Hubbard, even in a start 11, probably not going to do anything for you. And since you're already in the nature of a rebuild, like, I would just be shipping most of these pieces, to be frank. Like, even, go to the Travis Etienne owner, like, can I not get a second back for Baishal Tootin and at least just give me liquidity pieces that I can throw on the end of trades and try to make happen for me down the line, right? I think that's kind of the way I look at it mostly. Do you have any trades specifically that are immediately on your horizon that you wanted to pass by me?
Yeah, there was talk that the Malik Neighbors owner was trying to sell for two firsts and someone solid. I was wondering, would you think about me giving my 227 seconds and like Travis Hunter for him? Would that be?
Oh, I mean, that's a smash, except if you could get it done.
Yeah.
But I really doubt he does that. But quite frankly, man, like I said, like if Malik Neighbors is on the table and this guy's even remotely one of those guys that, like remotely would consider just taking a keep trade cut trade, where you throw a ton of pieces on one side, like sure, give him Travis Hunter, Parker
Mhm.
Washington, Baishal Tootin, Chuba Hubbard, 2 seconds, add a third in there. I don't care. Just throw him the farm. I think like that's one of those
Yeah.
cases where those guys, quite frankly, in your kind of format, like an 8-team league, like those are a dime a dozen. Like what are the odds that Romeo Dobbs and
Mhm.
Parker Washington score within 15 fantasy points of each other next year? I would say relatively high. You know what I mean? So I think you're kind of just
Yeah.
like playing with guys that don't matter as much there. So yeah, absolutely. I say let's inquire, but I will just say, like, at least since it is a start 11, like you do obviously have to consider a little bit about depth. So I'm not sure if I'm like all in on just sending your entire bench. But even to the degree I was talking about earlier, like if Travion Henderson plus Trey Benson, and in a third get me Malik Neighbors, that's a smash as well in my mind, to be honest. So I think explore around with that, and yeah, I think you've kind of got the memo of where I'm going with this team. Obviously, we talked about the quarterback and everything else, but yeah, I think you're on the right path here. You executed a solid rebuild. You got your 101, and you've still got guys like Olave and Tet, and even Nico here. I mean, that's the only other piece we didn't talk about on this team. If you did want to kind of even
Mhm.
lean a little harder into the rebuild and just play a bit for 27, like could I tier off Nico Collins and go down to Abuka and get a 27 first included, something like that, or like I was saying with Ladd, if you believe he's going to have a little bit of a bounce back like I do, I think I would probably consider going like Nico to Ladd in the first and just stack yourself some 27 picks, because as we know, these 27 firsts are going to be, worth an arm and a leg next offseason from the way it's trending now. So just some food for thought there.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we will hop on the next person here. Appreciate you coming through. Guys, if you're watching over on YouTube, thanks so much for coming along. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you drop a quick subscription and join the Discord link in the description here or on any of my videos or on my website at dynastypricecheck.com. That is the tool we're using here, the Dynasty Decoder on my website, incredibly built by our main moderator, MJ Walsh, over on the Discord. Bringing you guys tons of awesome Dynasty tools this offseason so that you can cleanly see your leagues visually displayed nice and easy here. Like I said, would happy to have you guys as part of the community. So if you're over on YouTube, hop on over and we'll talk rosters. The next guy I've got in the queue here was going to be Caden and Andrew, but both of those guys are chilling. So we're going to go to Armat and then Riceball next. Is Armat still in here? There he is. All right, Armat, go ahead and request to come on up, and we'll get you in. If he's still here, I'll give him a minute. Click that hand button in the top right if you don't know how. I'll give him a chance here, and if not, we'll hop on over to not interested. Okay, all right, no worries, Armat. You just hang out, man. We'll go to Riceball next. Riceball, you are up, my man. Go ahead and request with that little top right corner button, and we'll dive right in. Can't mic right now, but shared my info. Okay, no worries. We've got big rice ball. All right, big rice ball. Here we go. Let's take a look. Sorry, folks. Some people aren't going to be able to come up on mic. No big deal at all. I'll talk through your rosters all the same. We got rice ball out here with plenty of leagues to go through, which I like to see. We've got Game of Throws. Very fun, and it's a 12-team start, 12-team start 9 Superflex half point tight end premium, and team big rice ball right here. All right, here we go. We've got Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward, James Cook, Ken Walker, Javonte Williams, Nico Collins, Luther Burden, Jalen Coker, AJ Barner. At tight end here, we've got Spencer Rattler, Kirk Cousins on the bench, Mariota. We got Algier, who I like stashing these days. Trey Harris could have a nice little breakout, and Cole Kmet, a deep sleeper of mine. We'll see if he lands anywhere exciting this offseason and revives that career. And we've got the 102, 111, 206, 207, 212, and 303 in this draft. So it looks like you've got some solid capital here and 227 firsts. So first things first here, love the running back room. I mean, your running back room is that of a contender. So if we're going to go ahead and hold those pieces, might as well go for it. I believe in a start 9, you are going for it. I really don't mind the quarterback room too. I think, Jaden Daniels obviously can give you top 3 upside there, and Cam Ward as a QB2. No issues with, as the glaring issue here seems to be wide receiver, as we can see. Quite frankly, I'm personally, like I'd mentioned before, not the biggest Luther Burden believer in a format like this one. Like, I do think Burden can be absolutely. I should be streaming on the Discord as well. If you guys can't see the Discord screen, let me know. But I did share the screen, so Give me some feedback in there if you guys can't see it, but you should be. The thing I was going to say about Burden, though, here in a start 9 is just that the fact of the matter is I view him as a guy that has some Devonta Smith and T. Higgins level upside as far as like wide receiver 17 to 24, but I don't know if I really see him breaking into the top 10. I think obviously like the crowded room argument has not always the best legs, right? But it's just the fact of the matter that there is only a certain amount of fantasy points to go around, and obviously Caleb Williams is going to vulture some rushing touchdowns, and you've still got, guys like Kyle Monungai and DeAndre Swift that are going to be used heavily in the red zone. And then you've got guys like Roma Dunze, who I still believe is a very talented wide receiver and, has the ability to ascend in that offense. You got Colston Loveland, a top 10 draft pick, and you saw him come to life at the end of the year. And sure, you can throw all these metrics at me about how Luther Burden had, some of the best yards per out run and all this stuff, but quite frankly, at the end of the day, guys, we've got a small sample size. I don't know if I imagine him being a bona fide top 10 wide receiver, which is the way he's basically priced these days of like what it takes to acquire him. And as you guys can kind of see on my screen here on the nice Dynasty Decoder tool on the website, you've got guys listed on this page that are guys that I like buying and guys that I like selling. And this nice little price tag here next to Luther Burden says sell. And that's because that's where I'm at right now, just for the where he's at in the market. And I think in a start 9, you do probably need to upgrade a little bit. Now, you have the 102 here, so you're probably going to get a premium wide receiver here and either take Tyson, Lemon, Tate, whoever you please there. I would assume that's the route we go on this team, as that's what you need anyway. So I would go ahead and use that 102 on your top receiver. I would be taking Luther Burden, and, you've got a bunch of seconds here. It's a start 9. I don't need that much depth, and you've already got some decent pieces here with Algier, who I think is going to get a starting role or at least a touch split role. And then you've got Trey Harris, and I expect him to take kind of a step forward here. Now, he might not be a bona fide 2, but he might be a flex-worthy guy for you here. And so my opinion here would be taking Luther Burden and, the 207 and the 212, and let's see if I can go buy a legitimate piece like Chris Olave. I think sometimes people have different values in different leagues, and I've seen guys that just aren't as high on Olave, but the fact of the matter is he's in a nice Kellen Moore offense here and was really starting to ascend throughout the season and definitely found his place as the alpha in that offense. I expect that level of production to continue. I think you could also be, floating in that range kind of, in the Tedero McMillan range if we could. So, if we could take Luther Burden and the 111 and go to Tet, I would be thrilled to do so. I've seen that happen more times than not. A lot of people are really high on Burden, so I would be fine taking a swing to that point. I would be also totally fine just trying to go buy some production for this roster, especially if you're trying to capitalize on the running back room that you have here and saying, hey, Terry McLaurin's probably going to finish as a top 14 receiver this year, probably even top 12. I could probably buy him for a second and a third, or at least 2 of those seconds, right? So in a little bit of a weaker class, could I take the 207 and the 212? And going and getting Terry McLaurin. I was thinking of moving any draft picks after the NFL draft or during our league's rookie draft. That's totally fine, man. I mean, these are all trades that you can kind of store in the back of your mind. You don't have to make them today, but you definitely could make them closer to the season. And so, like I'm saying, wait till the NFL draft happens, see how these picks, accumulate some value here, which I imagine they would. And in a start 9 format, I want production, man. I want guaranteed production. So Terry McLaurin's been one of my favorite buys of the offseason. I think you should absolutely be exploring that. I mean, to the degree of guys we should be keeping our eyes on here, right? Is it possible that A.J. Brown gets moved this offseason? And I'd be happy to buy A.J. Brown right now before he even gets moved, depending on how your league economy views him. I think just like I was recording a trade show earlier today with a special guest coming on for Dynasty Trade Titans on Tuesday over on the YouTube channel, so make sure you guys are following along for that. But we were having a conversation about how A.J. Brown had one of the quietest wide receiver 11 seasons you've seen, and, the Eagles offensive coordinator gets fired, and suddenly he's still wide receiver 11, not only in final points, but also in points per game. Definitely has some ability here to rise up and continue to be either a guy in an ascending Eagles offense that's going to get a better coordinator and a better offensive line this next year, or move to a different destination like we've heard the rumblings about the Patriots. So if I could buy A.J. Brown in this league, I think he's a good trade target for you. You got 3 seconds. I'd be happy to take 2 seconds and Trey Harris and go shooting. I'd be totally fine even adding a third second and just go 3 seconds. Take your 226 and one from 27 and whatever. Throw some 3rd-round picks in there, and I think that's a great deal. And now you're saying in the comments, I want to buy whoever the wide receiver one for the Commanders or Titans. Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying about Terry McLaurin. We should be shopping for him right now. And I think, you didn't really want to move your draft picks. I understand, but this is going to be probably the cheapest Terry McLaurin is, as during the offseason, people normally kind of forget the level of production that you're getting out of some of these guys. And then towards the season, when people really want points on the roster, they start to get a bit more skittish. I do think Devontae Adams could be another piece that, depending on where he is in this league, and we can go ahead and poke around and see where he's at. He could be a sneaky buy for you, as well as it looks like on Cactus Jack over here. I'd be fine taking a swing on Mike Evans for a cheap price. If you want to throw 2/3 at the guy for Mike Evans and potentially use him as your wide receiver 3 on a contending team, and see if we can get by Terry McLaurin, and then you've got your 102 here as a solid stud piece. I mean, as we know, rookies don't always hit right out of the gate, so kind of insulates you a bit, even though you're going to take a top receiver here at the 102 to still have some decent pieces to work with. But I think that's probably the route I would go mostly on this team. I mean, just to give you one final option, man, and obviously just try to help you the best I can. I don't think there's one way of looking at dynasty teams. You got plenty of routes you could take. I mean, the quarterback tear down is an option here. I know it's a start 9, so having a premium rushing quarterback is obviously great. But if the market hasn't caught up in your league to Jackson Dart yet, like if we could go from Jaden Daniels to Jackson Dart and get extra firsts on top, that would allow me more spending power on the open market. Or I'm not exactly sure who owns him, but could I get Jackson Dart, could I send Jaden Daniels and like a second and a third away, just so it looks like it's kind of even on both sides? I always like stacking some picks on the side. Could I take Jaden Daniels in a second and a third and go get Jackson Dart, Tyler Warren, and Terry McLaurin? Like a player like that, even a Cortland Sutton, like someone like that just gives me kind of 3 guys to stack here, and I barely tiered down at the quarterback position in my mind. But obviously Daniels has got that name value, so I would totally explore doing a deal like that. If we wanted to drop even further, I know it sounds a little egregious, but in the start 9, I mean, Jaden Daniels in a third, just throw the third in just so the trade looks more palatable on their end. And if you wanted to drop down to, you already have Cam Ward as your young guy, so if you want to drop down to Jared Goff and you get Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland back, as your tight end, and then you also get a Chris Olave style asset, or like a Ladd McConkey wide receiver in the mid range. Like, I would honestly be fine exploring that deal as well. I probably need a little bit more maybe since we're talking such a shallow format with start 9, but to be frank, I'd even explore a deal like that. So just giving you some options here. I think your only final other option here is if you really want to kind of rebuild the roster a little bit and build out from the wide receiver room a bit more, then maybe we explore tearing off one of these running backs. I think, Javonte just got a fresh deal. I think he'll still be productive, but if we can, take Javonte and tear down slightly and go to Travis Etienne or, someone in that range, or I don't know how people are valuing Cam Scadaboo in your league these days. I've seen his range be wild. Some people are crazy high on him. Some people think he's, too physical and going to get hurt right away. So I would keep your options open, just test the market and see where we're at. But that's probably what I got for you, Rice Ball. I hope it goes well for you. You let me know what you're exploring, and you always know where to find me in the trade center of the Discord. So the next guy I got on my list here is, I think it is Franges 99. Do you want to come up on stage, man, or just have me talk about your team? No worries. Let me know. Okay, he's going to come on up. Lovely. We'll get him on up there. DJ, I see you as well. I'm going to go by the queue, so hopefully we'll get to you in just a little bit. I got McSnooch next, if he's still around, but he might be gone. So you're moving up the queue, DJ. You might be next anyway. As a friendly reminder, before I dive in here, if you're watching over on YouTube and you do want some feedback on your roster, go ahead and hop in the Discord. It is super easy to join, nice and free. Click the link, and you can get in the live events column where we're going to do these roster reviews every single Sunday. So good to see. Kyle's out there, said, took your advice and traded a 26-second for Ferguson, 210. Love it, man. Love it. I appreciate you supporting the channel. So Sounds good. And thanks for coming along today, guys. What is good, man? Am I saying it right? Franges? What's the name I can get you
Yeah,
with?
yeah. Am I? Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, hear you, no problem.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Franges. It's just an old gamer tag.
Franges, yeah, right on.
Yeah. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me on, man.
Course,
Uh,
man. Course, man. All right.
uh,
What's the? I think
yeah,
you typed it, didn't you, up here? Yeah.
yeah. I put it in the chat. Uh, yeah, same
Okay.
same username. For Sleeper,
Oh, perfect. All right, we've got that all
and
good.
then it's the Listener League.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, that's an easy one then. Since we are playing with a member of the Price Check Army, as a friendly reminder, guys, we are launching 7 more Dynasty startups. So if you want to be a part of one, hop over to this Listener Leagues tab on the website built by the incredible MJ Walsh over here and submit your self right there, and we'll get you
Yeah,
loaded up on
the
the
Lotto
queue.
Office.
I see we got a Lotto office here. We just finished this startup. As you guys can see, it is a 16 team start 9, tight end premium 0.75. We got a little tight end first down bonus as well. So definitely heavy tight end here. As you know, that would definitely be the area I would probably be attacking sooner rather than later. Getting a tight end here as constant struggle we have with the listener leagues is everyone says they read the charter, but no one reads the charter, guys. The charter will tell you your scoring format. I know it's a tight end premium 0.75, but tight ends are boosted a little more than you might think. So definitely, as you know, like I said, probably should attack that to start. Outside of that, it's gonna be tough to have a super loaded team in a format like this with 16 teams, as rosters are gonna get pretty deep. Obviously, like the Jahmyr Gibbs side of things, I'd mentioned before, Travion Henderson isn't my favorite guy to wait on if you're contending right now, but at the same time, he's obviously young, so, as long as you're willing to kind of give him a year to sort it out here, I don't mind holding him. Just probably
Yeah,
also need to be targeting maybe another guy that might be able to give you a little bit more immediate production. And it sounds ironic to be throwing names like DeAndre Swift when we're talking about Travion Henderson, but he could be a guy that just, gives you a bit more steady consistent production here. Could also talk about going the vet route and inquiring what a Derrick Henry would cost you, to kind of bolster that running back room. I think wide receiver wise, I'm not a big Travis Hunter guy, so that's personally, just my take. I don't think he's going to play a lot of offense this year, and maybe over time he transitions back to a wide receiver, but I do think mostly going to be a DB for you over here. So that wide receiver 3 spot could use a little boost as well, but as you probably know from watching some of my stuff and just the sentiment out there, Jalen McMillan is a top 100 draft pick. He's definitely got upside, and so to say on a deep 16 team format that Jalen McMillan couldn't give you wide receiver 3 numbers, I'd be remiss. I think he definitely has some upside. So I don't think it's your
yeah. I
ultimate
was
pain
glad to
point
get him.
right now, but I would say just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Outside of that, that's about where we're
I'm
at. You got
genuinely.
some trades you want to throw at me?
Yeah, so I've tried I agree with you on Trevion. He fell to like the late fourth, I think, in this draft, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I ended up grabbing him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everyone else wasn't super big on him either.
Yeah,
Um, and then yeah, I tried for Cam Ward and the price was 2 firsts, so I was like, I'm probably not gonna go for that.
sure.
Um, in terms of going for a tight end, I guess maybe I don't know what it would cost to get that's probably what I need to get. I don't know how I'd go about getting it though, because I don't have someone I can tier up from, unless someone just really believes in Parkinson or Tonjes for like, because Kittle's out.
Yeah, I mean, you could test the market for sure. Maybe someone's willing to take a swing on Jake Tonjes and thinks that Kittle's gonna be out a long time. I'm personally in the camp that George Kittle's a dog. I think he's gonna come back a lot sooner than people think. So I've been buying a lot of Kittle out there
Yeah,
and just trusting the process. But I think you're probably like more in the range of like, especially in a format like this, like we were saying, going to be tough to buy, a Bowers, a McBride, a Warren, a Loveland. I think, you're probably got to play in that middle range of guys that you want to take swings on here. And I think like that middle range would be, the Brenton Stranges of the world, the Theo Johnsons of the world, kind of these guys that are in their mid 20s and have some chance to go up, but, haven't been league breakers yet, right? So I think that would be kind of the range. I mean, even to the level of like a Kyle Pitts, he's probably gotten a nice value bump now, so maybe he's a little bit out of range. But those would be the guys I would look at. Maybe even a Jake Ferguson, someone in that range. Who had a hot stretch during the season and definitely has shown he can give you some production, but isn't exactly a budget breaker, right? So I think that's fine, especially since,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, with the
What would you do
first
with
down
the?
bonus, it'll equal out pretty quickly. Like even the Britton Stranges and Theo Johnsons of the world in this format, I think they were giving you 180, 190 points, which is as much as wide receiver 15 gave you this year. So
Yeah, with the tight end premium being so heavy,
Mhm.
does drafting Sadiq at the 105 become a consideration, or is it still just
yeah,
whichever
absolutely.
of the
I mean,
three
I think
receivers or
here's the way you got
Mendoza?
to look at it, right? It's a tight end premium, absolutely. At the same time, it's a super flex. So, I think you kind of just got to play the board and understand who's falling to you at different values. Because, Sadiq at the 1.5, I wouldn't hate it, especially if his landing spot is good and the draft capital matches some of the hype that you see off the combine here. Now, at the same time, I also am of the belief, as you were talking about with Cam Ward earlier, if you can get the number one overall pick in the NFL draft for a mid first round pick, like people did with Cam Ward last year, I think those always age well. I mean, like it's rare that the top pick in the NFL draft is a complete bust, and I think you're even started to see some flashes out of Cam Ward last year to where like, even we watched Trevor Lawrence, right, is a great example. He was a guy that took 3-4 years to kind of hit, and now what? He's quarterback 4 overall and on the extension and in his mid 20s, and everyone is you really happy they held if they did. So I think sometimes it's just a patience play, right? Even with some of those guys. So I think to your question, it's in consideration. I wouldn't lock anything in today on March 1st, as you know. There's plenty of time to go, so we'll see where the landing spots go and what's available to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No,
All
well,
right, I think that's
hell
I
yeah,
think that's
man.
all of it.
Of course,
All right, cheers,
good
man.
to have you in the listener leagues, and I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. We will hop to the next guy here. I believe actually it was Mother Africa I got next. So if you want to hop on in, Africa, I'll get you up, and then DJ, you will be right after him, and then Swaggy, I'll get to you. All right, man. Don't worry. We'll get you. We'll get you. We'll get you in here and we'll talk a little bit of ball too. For the folks watching over on YouTube, your friendly reminder here, if you haven't already gotten on over to the Discord so that you can hop in for a live roster review, this is your chance to do so. Nice and easy. You just click the link on the description here and you'll be nice and in. Would love to have you guys along. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, would love to have you over there as well. So we'll get some more folks on up here, and Africa, why don't you request? Are you gonna request, or am I just gonna talk on your team? I forget. If you want to request and come up, I'll approve you. And how do you ask to talk? Just the top right hand, there's a little waving hand in the top right corner. You can just click it, and you'll be right on it. There it is. Lovely. All right, my man, how we doing? I can see you in here. You're muted as of now, so just click that unmute for me and I can hear you, no problem. Hopefully.
Can you hear me?
Hell yeah. What's up, man? How are we?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Dude, fantastic. Just got done recording a nice little episode of Trade Titans for Tuesday, and pretty exciting this week. We got someone on, not only a Dynasty creator, but also a writer for PFF. So you guys are going to get some nice little ball knowledge coming in, and it was exciting to talk to someone who actually works in the football world here, not just the YouTube folks. I mean, I love the YouTube folks, but nice to chat with a writer. So that was pretty fun. But make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. What league do we want to dive into today?
It's called the Wu Dynasty.
Wu Dynasty. Hey, I love to see how many leagues we're playing with here, man. We got a true degen out here.
And this is the Wu Dynasty was my first league Dynasty league I did with my friends.
Sweet.
A bunch of buddies from high school, brother-in-laws in there.
Totally.
Mine is Stroud and Proud, yeah.
Right
So I didn't know anything about Dynasty leading into this. So I drafted bad, made really bad trades first year, and then throughout the season last year, I traded away
AJ Brown for pennies on the dollar, maybe not even pennies. Um, Javonte Williams as well. Finished last, so I got the 101. I made a couple trades after the season after I found some of the dynasty content that I've been watching for like the last 6 weeks or so. So I've learned so much, a lot from you and from other creators. So
Hell yeah.
I can give you the quick trades. The first one I did was I got Baker and T. Well, I'll tell you the teams. It's 10 team. Well, I guess you've got it all there.
Yeah, I got it. 10 team start 11, half point PPR, half point tight end premium. Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I got Baker and T. Higgins, and I traded away Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Jordan Mason, Josh Downs, Charbonnet before he got injured. It was the 201, 204, and 307 to get those guys back. So there's a lot of kind of junk on my end.
Yeah, that's a smash. That's a smash. That's a keep trade cut trade. You just kept adding shit, and it all went through.
And that
for
was
you.
before I even knew what keep trade cut was. So it worked out. And the guy who I traded that with, he's kind of the most active in the league. And I have another trade lined up that I wanted to ask you about before, but before I submitted it to him, the other trade I did is I traded CJ Stroud and the 208 for Chris Olave because I'd got Baker. I wanted to move off of Stroud, even though he was my first round pick in the startup 2 years ago, which is crazy to think now.
No, yeah.
After his rookie season, that's where he was, So
I have no problem doing that, to be honest. In this sort of format, I mean, you had Baker, you got Joe Burrow already. I'm totally fine with that. I have no issue moving off Stroud to bring in a receiver like Olave. The top guys are gonna be hard to buy, so getting Olave is
definitely
a good swing for you. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
Like
so my questions is obviously I don't have absolutely nothing at running back.
Yep.
Other than Jeremiah Love, who I'm planning on drafting. I don't really want to trade that pick because, I earned it. I really like Jeremiah Love. I've watched him through college the last 2 years. So I know a lot of people say trade the 101 away and get a bunch of extra stuff for it, but I want to keep him. I want to build a team around him.
Yeah.
So I know probably should move Joe Burrow, tear down from him. I don't know if I should do anything with the receivers, because I've got the 3 kind of top end guys, but I could move some of them. The trade I have lined up, potentially, the guys thinking about it, is T. Higgins and Kincaid for Tucker Craft, and then getting my 201 back. Since it's a 10-team league, that's technically the same as the 111. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts would be on something like that.
Well, here's the thing. I love getting Kraft. I just think, quite frankly, I do think that's an overpay. I mean, I'm all in on Tucker Craft, and you've probably heard me talk about it before. So that's not something I dislike. I think the part I dislike about it is equating the value difference, and moving T. Higgins for the 111. I think it's not necessarily a bad trade, but I do kind of like the wide receiver room you're working with right now. I don't think it's, generational, but to be frank, if you add Jeremiah Love in here and we execute a solid tear down trade from Joe Burrow, which you mentioned, and that's where I was going to jump to anyway, I think that, you have the ability to definitely lean in and grab some production here. And I think, I mentioned it in one of my last videos, and you probably heard it, but looks like Dawson Knox is going to be a cap casualty this offseason. And so I do expect Kincaid to finally, hopefully, get, a bit more of a breakout than we've seen in the past. Now, is it going to be a tight end 5 finish that Tucker Craft will probably give you? Maybe not, but if I can get top 8, which I should, out of Dalton Kincaid this year, then I'm willing to just kind of sacrifice it and keep T. Higgins on the roster. I think if you were coming from a different point of wide receiver strength here, like if there was an Amon-Ra or a JSN on the roster, I'd be fine moving Higgins, but I'm a little bit more hesitant to do so in the immediate. Now, let me say a couple things here. All right, you're kind of in an interesting spot because where you are right now
it's
is
so tough.
You could go 2 ways with this team. You already have the 101, which is great. You could build around Jeremiah Love and you could lean into that. And quite frankly, I'm going to lay out both options for you here, and it's going to kind of be on you, knowing your league economy to some degree, what you think is the most doable if you're going to get correct value and what would be better for you. Because I'm of the mind, and sometimes I get to talk about this in my videos, so maybe you've heard it and maybe you haven't if you haven't been around as long. following since some of my like TikTok streams back in the day, like almost a year ago now, but when I first started. But I always like to think that like teams like this that have some value in them still, you can pull off a 1 year retool as long as you're willing to really lean into it for a year and then just know that you have to be a hyperactive trader and next offseason you're going to rebuy everybody, right? And I think it sounds funny, but it does insulate you from guys potentially losing value, right? If you move everything into liquidity of picks, well, picks are always going to carry like the same amount of value, right? Especially if they're 27 picks. So, to the degree of like, do you move T. Higgins in a fourth and throw in, some of these bench guys, like just start adding guys, right? We did the keep trade cut thing. Throw Kate Otten in there. Does that get me another 27 first? Great. I have another one. Does Zay Flowers plus Joe Mixon plus Geno Smith to a quarterback needy team if we wait through the offseason and somehow he goes to the Vikings or lands on the Jets or gets another chance somewhere, right? Like, does that get me another 27 first? And, do we do the same thing, the Joe Burrow thing? Do we tear off Joe Burrow and go down a bit and get 2 27 first kickback, and now I own 5, 6, 27 firsts, and you have Olave and you have Jeremiah Love, and it's like, well, you've got a ton of pieces to fill, but yeah, if I got 6 27 firsts, like, dude, you don't think a 27 first in a vacuum next year is going to get you, Terry McLaurin, Mark Andrews, like four productive guys? I mean, they will. It's not going to be the prettiest trades you've ever seen when you plug them into a dynasty calculator or run them by influencers. But if you do want to contend 1 year away from now, you could do something like that, right? So I'm just posing the option for you. Your other option here is to, try to play mostly with what you got and work it around into some veteran production and just say, you know what, like I have all my future firsts. I can continue to build through the draft. I'm going to start thinking about Dynasty in like a 2 to 3 year window here, and I'm just going to go for it, right? And we talk about some trades you've seen on my channel proposed, but like, could I take Joe Burrow and move down to Jared Goff and get, a very solid asset in return? Like could I take Joe Burrow in a 2 or Joe Burrow in 2/3 that you have in 27 and go down and get Jared Goff, Kyron Williams, and a 27 first? Like that would suddenly make the roster look a whole lot better. And now you've still got 2 picks next year to re-roll and continue to bolster it, right? And then could I take the 309, the 401, and, Rachaad White the day he signs a free agent deal here, hopefully in Washington, to go back with Jaden Daniels or something. And now there's a hype train around him. And, just go see if I can shop for Derrick Henry, right? Do I have to add a 28 first in there and go Rachaad White and a 28 first for Derrick Henry and a 27 third, right? Like can we have options to do deals like that? Could I float Matthew Golden to one of the rebuilders on in my league and take Matthew Golden in a third and go buy Terry McLaurin or Cortland Sutton or, one of these veterans, Michael Pittman, someone that's going to give me top 20 finishes that, is only 28 years old? Could I take 2/3 and go buy Chris Godwin, who I think's a great buy low right now? Could I take Travis Hunter and go to the Travis Hunter believer in my league and see if I can get DeAndre Swift in a second, for Travis Hunter in a fourth, and now, okay, suddenly my roster's looking like, wow, I can maybe actually just try to contend right now. And I have like a 2 to 3 year window here where I've got a couple firsts in 2027, maybe 2 or 3, plus I've got a team that can at least stand up for this year and try to go for it. And obviously, like I said, next year you're adding 2 firsts. And if by any chance any of those are in the top 5, imagine the value that you have with a top 5 27 pick. The way the market's talking right now, that's going to be like a 2nd to 3rd round startup pick worth of value. So, you could get an arm and a leg for those kind of picks, right? So I think like that's probably your most realistic option. Now it all comes down to your league economy, right? So how much ability are you going to have to actually pull these kind of things off? And are there active traders and guys that are interested in doing deals like that? That's probably what you kind of have to answer with everything I've said there. But I think it's possible for sure.
Yeah, so there's one like really good team. It's the Lad and the Homies team right above mine.
Okay.
He lost one game all year last season in the regular season, and then lost right after the bye to a guy who probably has like one of the worst teams and just got so lucky that week. And the other guy was scoring like 200 plus points for like 12 weeks straight. And then the week he plays, he scored like 130, and
Sure.
So his team is just, it's like so stacked. So my thought was to trade him Joe Burrow for Dak, and one of his like 4 starting running backs that he has. He's got like 5 of them realistically. Either Brees or Jacobs are the two kind of I was looking at.
I mean, if you were going to go out of the
Joe.
two based off the build of your team, you got to get Brees Hall here. Josh Jacobs is one of those guys
Yeah.
that'll probably be good next year still, and I do think he's like a good buy zone right now, but yeah, he's already 28, so I'm not looking at Josh Jacobs as like a guy that I think is going to be like a real long running asset for you. I also will caution that like I think Dak is great. He's only 32. Yeah, he's, a true pocket passer. It's not like he's going to rely on the mobility. He had some mobility for a year or two there, but I'm not thinking Dak's going to add you any rushing at this point, and that's not a problem. That speaks to the potential longevity you might get out of him, right? So, like, again, though, when we talk about 35, Matt Stafford's playing at 37 here, but I don't know if I expect Dak to continue on that trajectory. So you're probably looking at 2 to 3 years of Dak. Now, I know it doesn't sound like a massive difference. Him and Jared Goff are a year apart. So, the Dak tear down isn't as bad. I think it's really like more like 18 months, though. So you're probably getting Dak at 33 by the season kicks off. But I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. I personally think you could get more, though. I mean, like, if we're talking James Cook, then that's one thing. But if you're talking Brees Hall, we're probably looking at, like, I would be fine giving Joe Burrow in 2/3, but I'd need Dak, Brees, and in a first. This first is going to be late, but that would be the type of range I'd like to go for. If not, I'd be curious, like, this guy here, he looks like he's obviously kind of in a true rebuild here, but where's he valuing Jackson Dart? Like, does he still...
He's not even thinking about moving any of his guys. I talked to him. He won it the first year, sold a good chunk of his team in the offseason the first year, which is why he has 5 picks, 5 of the 10 picks this year. They're all a bit later. The guys he sold to were contenders, but he finished 5th after winning it and then selling everything out.
I don't want to gas this guy up too much
ridiculous
to you, but this guy knows what he's doing. This guy's like pulled off a masterclass in your league, to be frank, because like he's got the 3 best quarterbacks damn near in Dynasty right now with Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Jackson Dart, and like he could easily tear off one of them if he wants to, but he doesn't even have to because he's got Devon and Bijan. He's going to reload with tons of firsts here and take swings at a million wide receivers if he even wants to make all these picks. If not, he'll move St. Brown or whatever, and now he's got St. Brown and still got Jake Ferguson here, and I like the running back depth with like Algier, and I think Devin Neal could be a starter by the end of the year. So like, guys like Torrey Horton, who I love down here. So I don't mean to gas this guy up too much, but he's in a great position to turn this around and be a genuine contender here. So take notes.
I wanted to try to I wanted to try and trade Joe Burrow for one of his younger guys, and he was just like, I would rather stick with them, and I've got quarterbacks for the next 15 years, no matter what happens. He's got 3 young guys, so he doesn't really want to trade, and he's holding on to the 04 and 05 picks this year because I was trying to flip Zay Flowers for one of them and kind of try and get young upside, but he doesn't even want to talk about moving them. The 106 guy has Lamar Jackson, but he doesn't want the stack of Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. He just traded away Derrick Henry because he wanted just some extra. He wanted some variety. He didn't like having, because he also had Mark Andrews, so he doesn't want to have too many guys on the same team. The Longhorns guy is the one with the Kraft trade. And he's a big Lions fan, so any Lions players on his teams, he doesn't even talk about moving. He's asked like crazy numbers for him. He traded for Puka before the playoffs, which kind of helped him get to the finals. And he wants like 4 first-round picks for him to even consider moving him, so that's not an option. So
we got Brock Purdy over here though, like Kahuna's going, let's go Lions. There you go. You hit the soft spot for BK over there. Shout out my guy. We got this is one where it's like he's got running backs. I don't know if he'd be willing to do this deal, but could you get him interested in a tier down to Brock Purdy from Joe Burrow and go Joe Burrow and like a future second and a third or even 2/3? And could we get Brock Purdy, Javonte Williams, and like this 201? It's not great, but if no one's going to make any deals with you, that's an option for you. I guess we were talking about Tucker Kraft too, so maybe we go Brock Purdy, Tucker Kraft, and the 201, and you go Joe Burrow.
I'd rather have. I'd rather try to get a running back because, like you said, with Kincaid, there I have at least a good starter. If Knox does leave, he'll be able to fill that role just fine. It's not a huge
Yeah.
tight end premium, so it's not like some of those big guys like the
Yeah, but
McBrides and
in
Bowers.
this kind of start 11 league with a tight end premium, I mean, you're just looking at flex pieces, right? And Tucker Kraft's going to
Yeah,
score more than every receiver outside the top 14, like top 12
yeah,
probably. So it's like, I think that that's kind of a sleeper move, right? If he would do it, and maybe that's ironically, man, like if you want to talk like how you potentially pull off a decent contending team pretty quickly here in a half point PPR, this is the same, I mean, this is the same value as having in a full point PPR a 2.0 tight end premium, right? Because you're getting double the production out
right.
of tight ends that you are for wide receivers. So if your league somehow doesn't realize that or isn't thinking about that the same way, then I'll just play the tight end game. And like, can I just accumulate grabbing Tucker Kraft? And can I grab, like rather than spend super high prices to go get Nico Collins or Drake London, like dead ass, you'll probably get the same amount of points from Tyler Warren. So it's like, is
Yeah,
that a cheaper buy? Can I just go buy Tyler Warren, AJ Barner, Tucker Kraft? You got Dalton Kincaid, just flex 4 tight ends in a tight
yeah.
end premium. I actually like that idea more than anything we've explored. So I think maybe that's your route because at this point, if you want to go production on running back, you're going to get Jeremiah Love. Rashad White might be a free agent deal that does something for you. Could I buy Derrick Henry,
hmm
go cheap at the running back
He
position?
just bought Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, he just
again, I
bought him
mean,
like a week ago. So
just food for thought. Like I said, like could be a DeAndre
no,
Swift,
for sure, for
someone
sure.
in that range. But I think that's probably actually what I'm leaning towards. The way we've talked through it, I think you flip Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Travis Hunter. I don't want to hold the risk of any of these guys. If anyone will give you anything for Brandon Ayuk, take a liquidity pick. I don't think he's ever playing football again.
hmm
Tank Dell. I don't want to wait on him. If you want to flip him to the Stroud owner or someone will give you a second for him because they're still believers. I've seen guys out there like that. Do it. When Geno signs somewhere, do it. If anyone believes Derek Carr is going to come out of retirement, fine. I'll take anything I can get for him. Let's just stack some extra liquidity here. Like I said, let's go buying. Like, give me Barner, give me Kraft, give me, another tight end
hmm
on top of that. Go buy Mark Andrews. He just got an extension last year. I think Mark Andrews is going to give
Yeah,
you solid amount of points the next 2 years. So, everyone's kind of forgotten about him and is like, he's old. Dude, he's 30. Like, what? People don't remember Travis Kelce was tight end 1 at 35. Like, we'll be fine. So,
hmm
I don't know. That's kind of the
it's
route I would go.
also
Yeah.
a half point first down bonus for receiving.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's tight ends kind of even have a bigger
That's even bigger
a
then
bigger
because yeah,
bonus there. Yeah,
average
I
tight end
forgot
catch
about
in the
that.
league is 8.5 yards. So that means more times than not, tight ends are going to be getting you a first down. So yeah, man, I think just to keep it moving, I'm gonna probably cut it there.
No,
But like
absolutely.
I think that's probably your route. And quite frankly, if you wanted to like play fun dynasty and try strategies, here's your strategy here: like flex 4 tight ends in a format like this, and like just run it. I mean, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that idea. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Sounds good. All right. Best of luck with everything. You know where to find me in the trade center. Appreciate you coming through. And we'll get DJ up next, and then Swaggy. It is all you. All right. You're my next guy. So DJ SP. All right, DJ SP. Which one? Which league you want, man? Let's see. I can actually invite you up here so you can speak, and I'll move you to the audience. Lovely. And we'll get a friendly reminder on YouTube if you guys are watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here if you haven't already. And go ahead and hop in the Discord, totally free, for your chance to get your rosters broken down each and every week. We'll invite DJ up on stage here. And DJ, what league you want, my man? Knew I recognized you. Delta Squad
All
down
right,
here. What's
how we
up?
doing?
Pretty good,
Yeah.
man.
Prime Era Fantasy. Yeah, that's about it for today.
Right on, man. Right on. All right, let's dive right on in here. We've got
It's 0.75 tight end premium with the 0.50 first down reception for tight ends, I'm pretty sure.
says 0.75 here. Do you think that's right? We got
Yes.
0.75,
Yeah,
1
that's right.
PPR, 12 teams starting 9. We got the 103, 205, 210, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield. Man, that's funny. Same quarterback room as the last guy. There we go. Copy and paste. Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley. Hey, we got Chris Olave here too. Michael Pittman, Ricky Pearsall, Trey McBride, Dallas Goddard. Okay. Johnny Smith, Dalton Schultz. Okay. All right. I'm going to rip it nice and quick, and then you tell me if you've got anything else on your mind here, like existing trade offers or whatever. But easy ones for me, and you probably already know this about me. Not a Ricky Pearsall guy at all, hence the sell tag next to him. So I'll take anything I can get. If I could get the 202 in this year's class, I'd love it. So like let's aim for early second or like equivalent value. If we could do any sort of tier up involving Ricky Pearsall, like you've got extra seconds here, I like it. You've got an extra third here, I like it. So Ricky Pearsall, a 2, 3, and a 4. Like, what does that get me? I don't know your league economy, but I would love to go Lad McConkey shopping on a down year. I would love to go, somewhere in that mid range of like, could I get AJ Brown? Could I get even, Zay Flowers for that kind of range? I would probably do it. I think, additionally, like, I'd be totally fine if we could do, I don't know where the guy who owns Terry McLaurin is valuing him today, but like Ricky Pearsall for Terry McLaurin, 1 for 1. I've seen it get done. I'd do it. If you got to add both those thirds, I'd do it comfortably. If I got to throw the 4th, I don't care. I'll do that comfortably. I would be feeling fine going into the season with Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin, and Michael Pittman as my starting 3, as long as the rest of my roster looks good, and yours does. So I don't have an issue with that. I think that's an area to explore, absolutely. I mean, obviously you have the 103 here as well, so if you want to stick and pick, you're going to take a premium wide receiver there as well. I think the other easy shouts, Woody Marks, gone. I'll do anything I can get to tier up from Woody Marks, even if that means, like, I think Tyler Algier has more upside, so I would, like, view in the open market that Woody Marks has higher value. So could I take Woody Marks in a 3 and get Tyler Algier in an early 2? Then give yourself another swing at wide receiver to stack some depth on that roster. Love doing that. I'd rather do that deal than holding Marks at current value. If we could tier up beyond Marks with like a 2nd and a 3rd attached to it, well, you've got these extra picks for a reason. So Woody Marks in a 2 and a 3. Does that give me Travis Etienne? I do that in a heartbeat. I do that for any of those potential free agent guys. Even, I know Javonte Williams isn't a free agent anymore, but he just signed. Ken Walker, like any of those guys. Obviously, probably Breece Hall wouldn't do it for that because, he's just got the name value that I don't think anyone's falling for it. But, I think like those are things to explore. I think outside of that, like just the other quick shouts, Dallas Goddard, gone. This is the tight end premium league. I know it's nice to have a backup guy, but Dalton Schultz just gave you a top 10 finish last year, and quite frankly, like he's still a buy for me here just because I think he's only 29 years old. We talked about tight ends that play actively into their 30s. He's still on contract. He's a target getter. There's not other competition in that room, and I don't expect them to add any this offseason. That's not like a ultimate need for the Texans. So I think he's just going to be a consistent guy that gives you, tight end 8 to tight end 14 finish, and that's a fine 2 behind Trey McBride. So Dallas Goedert probably going to get an extension here or sign a new deal somewhere. I would just wait a minute and then trade him as soon as he does. Print yourself some extra liquidity, whether that be in picks or like I said, equivalent vets that, at a different position. And outside of that, man, you got Achane, and Barkley's going to get you a few years of runway. You got a premium pick here. I think what's missing from this team is you need an RB3 and potentially an RB4, and then we need to tier up at the wide receiver position. A way we could explore it, as you've heard me say in the past, is like I do have Joe Burrow listed as a sell. I'm kind of over the 1 year on, 1 year off injury thing. So if I could tier down from Joe Burrow, you probably have heard me say all the things before, so you don't need me to repeat exactly what you heard from the other guy, but where's Jackson Dart valued in this league? That's the first tier down I would do if I can get something back on top. If we drop a little further to Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, what can I get on top of that? If we drop even further to Jared Goff, can I get a solid running back and a wide receiver included as well? And I'll include a third on my side, that's kind of where I'm looking at, because the real thing you're missing on this team is just, you need a wide receiver hammer. We're going to need a little bit of depth, but you're going to get some with the 103. We already talked about that. And we potentially talked about, maybe printing yourself a couple other seconds here that could either get you to go buy somebody in a package or just keep taking swings in the draft. And if you take, 2 or 3 between 110 and 208, like chances are just statistically that one of them will hit and give you wide receiver 3 production. So I think, you'll probably be okay. But I think, overall, like I said, like even executing some sort of tear down where you have some extra liquidity here and we could add a DeAndre Swift and a Derrick Henry like to this roster. I'm suddenly feeling great and I need a wide receiver and that's about it. So that's all the things I got for you, kind of just giving you the full lay of the team and let me know if you have any like direct trades or anything you're thinking.
All right, so yeah, I plan on selling Joe Burrow. I wouldn't mind grabbing Jackson Dart. I'm a huge Giants fan, so that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But it's owned by XL.
Mhm.
He's a rebuilding team at the moment.
Mhm.
Doesn't have much I could probably grab other than draft picks.
Mhm.
He's loaded this year
Yeah.
with the 101, 102, 105. I wouldn't mind tipping off Dallas Goedert. The only reason why I have him is because Jalen Hurts loves his tight ends.
Mhm.
And then I tried putting Woody Marks on the trade block, got a late 2026 pick for him that was offered. I wasn't too high on that. I was just trying to collect offers for Woody,
Mhm.
see if I could get anything. With Michael Pittman, he could be re-signed. He could be an open free agent. I'm pretty sure he's leaning to free agency in that area. Might become a decent, iffy wide receiver 2 on a team. Could be a wide receiver 1, but who knows at this point. And then Dalton Schultz. I wouldn't mind having Dalton Schultz back up Trey McBride, but
Yeah.
that
Well, I
yeah.
mean, right here, dude, I'm just like, I'm looking directly at the team. I don't know if you would consider this, but quite frankly, man, like, I would even take the risk out of trying to get a receiver that you think's going to hit. I mean, one of the top 3 probably will, but rather than risk it, like, probably an unpopular opinion. And maybe if you think you can get more than this, then get more. But could I offer him Joe Burrow and the 103 for Jackson Dart and the 101? Like, I don't know if he'd take that, but I know you
I
wouldn't
highly
even.
doubt it.
Yeah. I don't know, like, if that would even be possible. Maybe you got to add some thirds on your side and whatever just to try to make it look flashier. But quite
Yeah,
frankly,
make it look pretty.
that's a smash if you could get it done. Like you said, I doubt you do, but if you did it, I would be in love with that. Now you've got 3 stud running backs. This is a start 9. You're just playing all 3 every week. At this point, you take Woody Marks in a third and get me Derrick Henry, if you want to,
Yeah.
or whoever you want as your RB4. And I feel thrilled. And then now we're just looking at what does Ricky Pearsall in a bunch of seconds get me at wide receiver 3, right? And you just go shoot for the moon, see if you can get Terry McLaurin plus, if you get another second in 27 here, then fine, you have all your picks of the future and you'll reload next year and it's a start 9, so I think you'd be fine. That would be my ideal trade for you. I don't know if it happens, but I'd at least try it for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely send that offer his way, see if
Yeah.
we can negotiate the price a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt he'll take the first offer.
Sure.
I can always work around it. But it's highly unlikely that he'll give up the 101 with this current RB room. But
Sure.
yeah,
No, I get it. All right, man. Well, that's where I got for you for now. I think if you got anything that else pops up on the squad or need some direction, just you find me in the trade center. You know where I'm at.
definitely appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks for coming through, Swaggy. It's your turn. You waited, and this will probably be my last one. I'm gonna hop off pretty soon here. So what is up, my man? Is he there? Is he alive? I can't hear you if you're talking, Nick. Uh-oh. We lost him. He's gone. He wants to try again.
Sorry, Discord's fun sometimes.
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
What can I
How
do
we
for
do?
you?
Well, I was down for some D&Ts this weekend, just drinking and trading, and so I just want to a little roster review on probably Mikey's league.
Okay, let's see.
Unless you want to just like show the fam of where I've come in OG.
Swaggy 425. What did I do wrong? What is it, Swaggy? Not 425?
It's just 1G 4225.
4225. That's my issue. All right, let's check Mikey's league.
How you been? How's life?
Dude, good, man. It is 9:15 in the Netherlands, and it is where am I going here? Purdy. Yeah, things are good, man. We've got Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Brees Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Adunze, Mike Evans. I mean, oh yeah, this is the loaded squad. This is the contending loaded squad. Whew. Oh man, I don't have a lot of upgrades for you here. I mean, George Kittle's gonna come back and eat for you. You got the tight end room locked up pretty nicely. Mike Evans is gonna do something for you. You know, I like DK. I think only thing you could really say here is if you didn't want to wait on Rome, you could chop him and see what it garners you. What does Rome in a second get me? Does Rome
I
in a
just
second and a
traded
third get me Lad? I don't know. That's about it.
Yeah, well, I traded Tet and 2 seconds to get Marv and Rome last night. So
Marvin Rome. Okay, nice. Well, yeah, I mean, at that point, like you already know, dude. I mean, you're gonna start 3 wide receivers and maybe a fourth. You're already 4 deep. I mean, Rome and Marv are kind of just luxury pieces for you. If one of them hits or if they both hit and you are patient on them, you're probably good. Outside of that, I mean, like, I'd like one more running back on this team. Like, I mean, I think Dowdle will get a deal, and you've got Devin Neal who might get a starting job, but obviously just a tiny bit thin here. So, like, it's not always pretty, but, you know, a DeAndre Swift, a Derrick Henry, like some of those guys I was mentioning before that are kind of in, like, the don't break the bank model, but can give you production. It's probably, like, something I would explore, you know, as you get closer to the season, but who knows, man? I mean, it looks like you got this 204 here. Lord knows where the draft's going to go, but if a Jonah Coleman or something falls outside the top 100 picks and you want to take a swing on one of these guys in this year's draft there too, I wouldn't hate it. So I think you know this team's loaded. You're probably pretty good here.
no, yeah, no. Like I said, it was some D&T trading, so
Nice.
you know, kind of lost track of it because I just went to the watering hole twice with one guy.
Yeah. All right, let me look at OG real quick, and then I'm hopping off here. We got
Cool.
we've got this guy going.
Right.
Hey, also, folks, if you're watching on YouTube and you missed this session, no worries. Drop a subscription on the channel and hop on in the Discord, and we will break you down next week. No problems. But have you made any moves lately here? Jackson Dart, Brock Purdy. I love that. We got Mac Jones there. A little sleeper tag. Ashton Genty, James Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, Tyler Warren, Rondé Getson. I mean, yeah, you've done good building this team too, honestly. Obviously, we need a little depth here. You got a couple picks this year to start playing with, but I think it's just like the same thing as kind of what we were saying with the other league. Like, we're just lacking like the depth to make like a deep run at the running back position that, like, if you lose one of the main guys, we're really in a world of hurt here, right? So I think like potential option for you. I know just because you did this in my league to me and robbed me of my James Cook stock, but like James Cook to me is a pretty clear like sell high candidate potentially. Like, obviously he's good and he's probably still going to give you plenty of points the next few years, but you know, if James Cook is suddenly a early 3rd round startup pick and Kyron Williams or Javonte Williams or Ken Walker is still like a late 4th, early 5th, like, could I get extra on top of either of those guys to tier off James Cook and then use that extra to go buy, like I said, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, like somebody productive, or like just give me a little bit extra depth in that room, I'd consider it for sure. For sure. I mean, like, ironically, like, I know I have them, but and you gave them to me, but like, this is the kind of team where it's like, you're probably fine with those two, but I just feel way better if I had like Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell or Rico Dowdle or whatever, or Tyler Algier, just like people just like sitting on my bench that were like, okay, if something happens, like I can still get, flex worthy RB2 production out of them. But you got time before the season starts. So that's kind of where I'd take it.
Yeah, I think once season starts in this league, I'll be able to trade more. It's hard to only trade with the Aussies.
It's true. During the off season, it gets a little dead. But yeah, dude, I think that's what I got for you. Everything going well out there for you?
Yeah, pretty much. Hopefully everything's going well. But we'll make some moves. We'll make some trade-worthy content for you.
Hell yeah! All right, folks. If you made it to the session this week, appreciate you coming along. If you didn't, you know where to find me. This place, this time next week. Make sure you tune in for Trade Titans this Tuesday. We got a special guest on. Very excited about it, just like every week, and looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there, and let's make some active Dynasty offseason trades. Thanks for coming along, and everybody,